What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Theatre Podcast, maybe New Zealand's number one podcast here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. We are back at it again for another great episode, guys. We're excited. It's a new year. We actually just got back here from the States, so we're actually excited for our first podcast back in Aotearoa. So we're excited. We're excited. Before we get into it, remember we're on all platforms. We're on. If you haven't already, follow us on Spotify. We are also on Apple Podcasts, and we are also on Google Podcasts and Amazon Music. So wherever you're at, there's no excuses. Go and tune in to our podcast. We try to upload episodes, content every week, and you can tune in to really dig deep and to understand just from people around the community who are trying to be the best versions of themselves. Hopefully you can tune in for yourself and see that as well. And also, if you want to keep updated with us on social media, we're on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. So go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and follow us so you can stay up to date for the latest trends on our TikTok on the page and everything that we have going on. Without further ado, guys, let's get our warm red carpet welcome to our special friend Salvis plus being with us. What's up, brother? How's it going?
Let's go. What's up, brother? How's it going?
Good, very good. I'm excited for this one, guys. Salvis is a good friend of ours. We're grateful for him and for what he does. But we'll touch a little bit into it as we go along the podcast. But first of all, bro, just introduce yourself, give us your name, age, where you're from, and then also just touch us what you've been up to lately.
Thank you, Brandon. I tell you what, we're in this little room here, and I'm just comfortable. Like, I've done a couple of interviews with a couple of people, but I'm just comfortable. And I don't know, be ready for some authentic remarks. I like that. So, like Brandon said, my name's Salvis Lawrenson. I'm 24, getting a bit old on the older side of things. My family reside in Mangere, over in South Auckland, and that kind of formulates where my opinions and perspectives come from. But I was born in Samoa, family of 11, migrated over, chased that dream, and now we're just grinding.
I like that, bro. I like that. Yeah, just touch a little bit about I know you've been doing a lot of achievements so far throughout this past coming year, and all the big things coming up with you. But yeah, bro, talk about what you do, a little bit about yourself, a little bit educational spot, and then what you've been up to lately.
100%. I feel like my life started after high school, when I graduated high school, because I did relatively well in high school, and then my life started after high school. And right after high school, I attended University of Auckland. I went and did a Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Science conjoint, so 2 degrees.
Like that.
4 majors.
Busy, man.
Just out of it, Just out of it, and I managed to complete that, went and lived overseas for a church little voluntary service for 2 years in Madagascar, Africa. Went down to Wellington for 6 months, and then came back. And that's where my career kind of kicked off. I interned at this company called PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and if you know anything about the business world, it's one of the big four. And they call it the big four because out of all the business organizations in the world globally, these big four, they're leading those services. It started off as accounting, but now there's consulting, legal, M&D services, financial advisory. So I interned as an audit intern in PricewaterhouseCoopers. Yeah. But for 3 years now, I've been working as a transformation specialist. We'll probably go in a little bit more into that. But some achievements today of still not married yet. Still not married yet. A little click in there. But last year I was fortunate enough to win the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Commercial and Corporate, which is very fitting. But for as long as I can remember, I think I should have said this in the beginning, I've been working full-time and studying full-time. Ever since I was 16, I worked various jobs and then studied in high school. And now that I'm in uni, I'm still studying at university, getting my postgrad and trying to make it into medicine and whatnot. But I'm also grinding it hard in the corporate world and trying to get my name and things out there. It's a pleasure to be here,
I like that, bro. I like that. I mean, focusing a little, touching a little bit on right now in your career path, especially in the commerce world, bro. Talk to us about that, like just doing what you're doing, as well as that transition of actually, because like yourself, what you said, from South Auckland going into that commerce world, which not a lot of our community actually gets into that specific aspect in terms of, that corporate life,
Yeah. Have you heard the term imposter syndrome?
No, talk to us about it, bro.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. So it's similar to the game Imposter Syndrome. Someone's placed
Like
in
the
a
game.
room and they just feel like an imposter. They don't feel they're in the right place. And the reason why there could be many factors, but I feel like it's like that for us Māori and Pacifica. When we're put in these places that don't have a lot of brown people in them, you feel imposter syndrome. You feel like you're out of place. But if you know me, and I think Brandon knows me quite well, I'm the kind of person that likes those kind of places. It's a learning experience. And if anything, if you feel like you're out of place, you're in the perfect place.
Exactly. I think the best place to be is to be an uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
That's where the learning growth happens, you know?
If you're comfortable where you are, it's time to level up.
I like that,
Time
bro.
to be uncomfortable.
That's super cool. I mean, speaking of that, I guess kind of mentioned it a bit before, bro. We can obviously see education has played a big part, especially in your role to where you're at right now. Just a bit, touch a little bit on that for us, like about education. How much of an impact has it made in your life, and how's it affected your path right now?
Great question, eh? I feel like it's a $1 million question for migrants, because a lot of parents that move to New Zealand or move to Australia or America from the islands, it's the migrant dream. And the reason why I bring that up is my parents have been living in adversity for a lot of their lives, so the dream for them was security. That makes sense, right? We didn't have a lot of food growing up, so all they've ever wanted is a secure income, secure job, a secure place to live, right? And that's when we moved to Aotearoa, the land of the honey and the milk. Look, you know, it's a bit expensive here, but when we moved here, that's all I wanted. I wanted security. I wanted to go to education, get a good school, and just get security, get a secure job, get a secure income and whatnot. My perspective has kind of changed around what security is and things like that. But I think for as long as I can remember, I've taken education as serious as anyone can. And not to boast or anything, in high school I was the head boy and the valedictorian in my final year. And then when I graduated from Commerce and Science before going on my mission, I graduated in the top 5% of the graduates. And that goes to show the seriousness I took around my education. And education isn't just that anymore. I feel like Brandon's 100%. A prime example of that. It's not just go to high school, go to university and graduate anymore. And it's a bit of a problem for us islanders, because we get into that security mindset, and that's all we can think. Because for as long as the world's been created, you go to school and you get a good job. But now I think curiosity plays a big part in university. Curiosity is a massive source of fueling your learning experience, right? And in saying that, I've been quite curious in other educational platforms. Been reading a lot of books, and we'll refer to that, and been watching a lot of podcasts, including your one.
That's mean, bro. I just touching on that point, bro. I totally agree with what you said. I think now more than ever, like, education is kind of taking a different railway in terms of, like, there's more to do in terms of education. Like, there's not one specific pathway, which, like, especially what you talked about, especially with the migrant families, right, coming into New Zealand, Aotearoa, and 100%, bro, they really do focus on go to school, get education, and get a good job, and that's what's going to secure, our families, and that's 100% true for those families who do come in and achieve that dream for their family. But then also there's a other part of it, other pathways as well, and it's kind of been not a new trend, but just a different mindset for especially the different generations previous to us, to understand, to get grasp of, like, there's not only one way to be educated and create pathways. There's so many numerous different ways. Like, we live in a society now more than ever where like you can create so many jobs by one idea.
No, 100%. 100%. If you think about it, let's put ourselves in in a high school classroom, in a math classroom. I like math. The way I learned math was my math teacher would teach me a little bit of a formula, right? And then he'll get me to master the formula, rearrange the different variables, and then the test was give me a problem, and then using the formula I learned before, I'd come up with a solution, right? And the problem with that kind of learning is, if you don't know how to solve the problem, it's because you've only been taught that one formula. Right? Right now in the world we live in, it's no longer the formula is given to us. The problem's always coming, but how do you want to solve it? There's no one way. The undercurrent of that monotone learning, that's not how we live now. It's how would you solve it? And there's a multitude of ways to solve different problems.
I like that, bro. And I think part of it as well, bro, is just helping our own people and community kind of understand that there's not only one formula, because even the fact on don't be scared to try different formulas, especially those who are coming up. And because honestly, bro, like I feel like there's a lot of people who, the reason why I guess they kind of dislike education in terms of going to school is because I guess they're kind of taught that one formula, and then they only believe like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Whereas like they struggle with doing that and following what they love or what they're passionate about.
Yep.
And I think that's what creates that conflict, where we have a lot of people, especially they like don't know what to do within their early 20s. Like, do they want to do this, or do they want to like listen to what they only know, or do they want to follow up with what their dreams, their passions, what they want to do? You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And on the topic of education, something that helps me to foster my curiosity is just getting good mentors. Like 100%. 100%. What you want to do and what you see yourself, someone's done it before, and someone out there is willing to come to you. And my favorite Bruce Lee quote, and I like wrote it down, is you will know, when the student is ready, the master will appear. Right? When the student wants to learn something, the person that wants to teach it to them, or who is perfect to teach it to them, will appear.
I like that.
Right? And mentors are critical, especially in education. Like there's two types of mentors, and that's from a book of I think it's called How to Not Give a how to not give a sausage. But this book talks about two types of mentors. There's the one type. There's mentors that are 100 steps ahead of you, and you think about celebrities and all these rich people. They're so far away. They're quite inspiring. But the mentors I'm seeking at the moment is people like Brandon, who are like 3, 4, 5, 10 steps away from me, and that's pragmatic. It's doable, and that sort of inspiration converts into action. And if you want to be educated, be curious, and learn from mentors, learn from people and real life experience.
Bro, I like that. Bro, I love what you said. I honestly believe that mentorship is 100% so important for us as Polynesian people, right? Because I feel like for the most times, like we do have our parents, we do have our other families, but they do have different perspectives. I feel like sometimes it's important to find someone that is not family related to be a mentor, because that way like they kind of give it to you straight, or like they give you different avenues or a different mindset perspective where your family members wouldn't really see. So you're just having different perspectives, because you want to have different perspectives around what you're saying, so you can see from different angles and what avenues to take. That way you can adjust your sight and be like, okay, that it may be an angle I want to take, or is that angle for me I want to take sound a lot better or feel a lot better? You know what I mean? Because you want to kind of adjust and be like, okay, I can't take this one, I can't take that one. Which one is best suited for me? Which one's best suited for my mindset, my personality? If it's this one, then go for it. If it's not, then adjust, right? So it's always good to get those different perspectives, I believe,
100%. And the importance of mentors is there's two types of support network. There's two types of networks. There's your support network. If I want to cry, I go to Brandon or my mom, my dad, the people that support you, right? But there's also your challenge network, and these are the kind of people you're talking about, the people that challenge your way of thinking, that help you see it from a different perspective. And mentors often are the people that see a lot more than you can, and that's why they're a part of your challenge network. And once again, going back to how we started, that's where you really grow.
I like that, bro. This over here is Salvis dropping some gems for us guys on the podcast. Moving on to our next question, bro. I think even touching a little bit about our community and our people, bro. I honestly feel like part of it, like we've been, like obviously I know we're such a blessed people, and I've always had that mindset, like
so much talent.
Exactly, bro. A lot of us Polynesians, we have so much talent, so much to offer, right? And sometimes we forget how much we really have. So my next question, bro, is because our people have been blessed with such an amazing talent, what do you think holds us back from reaching our full potential?
Yeah, I remember you sent me these questions last night, and I scrolled through all 5 of them, and I was like, this is the question that hit me the most.
Yeah?
It's the question that hit me the most, and I was like, oh, shucks. Some gems need to come up from this one. And I went through my diaries, because I like to read books, and I write down a couple of things that I learned from it. And it's a diary I carry around. And I think 100% support the idea that Māori and Pacifica people, our community, are just as good as any other community, if not better. Right? The way we've been raised, we have specific talents, unique talents, that make us valuable to any table. And I work in a lot of consulting tables. A lot of people come together. One would be, let's say, a data specialist, one a transformation, one an accountant, different consulting tables. And often when I'm sitting at those tables, the perspective I bring is the Māori and Pacifica table, because our unique lens changes a lot of things. But the question isn't what we're good at, it's what's stopping us from that. What's stopping us from that? And I think Māori and Pacifica people, there's 2 types of mindsets. There's the scarcity mindset and there's the abundant mindset. The scarcity mindset, and I got this from another book that I read, and it was How to Be So Good That Everyone Will Notice You.
Yeah.
Still reading that one.
I like that. I might get it. Who writes that one?
Vin Jang. But the scarcity mindset and abundant mindset, and the scarcity mindset focuses on what you don't have. I don't have food. I don't have money. I don't have a good house. I don't have a good job. Right? And if it sounds familiar, it's because we're Māori and Pacifica, and that's the conversations we have. I go home every day and my mom's like, son, I need money to pay the bills. And because we focus on that mindset, that's as far as we can get. But the more successful people, and when I say successful financially and in other aspects, they focus on the abundant mindset. They recognize what they have, and then how do we multiply that? How do we make it more abundant? And I think that's one thing that's stopping us Māori and Pacifica students. Yeah.
I like that mindset. I feel like you're so true, bro. We're so accustomed to that scarcity mindset, I believe. Like, it's kind of, and that's a kind of a big topic is in terms of, because I feel like, I don't know, for some reason I feel like sometimes, and this is not for everyone, but I feel like part of the reason why some of us can focus on that scarcity mindset is maybe because we can be kind of, I guess, entitled to what's there to offer for us. You know what I mean? Or why? Because like you said, like we focus on that, but we also focus on why is it always that specific group? Why do they always make it not us? Or why do they have that and we don't? And it's kind of like focusing on yourself, like kind of being selfish in a way. Whereas like if you focus more on like what can I do, or more different like ways to say like what can I do for myself to benefit instead of focus on the negatives. Right? No,
100%. I think it's important to be self-aware, but don't be too self-critical, or don't focus on the criticism. And I like that word you use, like conscious. Yeah. Like if you think about it, self-conscious, you're only conscious about yourself. Like it's, as much as it is, we can't ignore the fact that we don't have enough food, money, or a lot of things. Be conscious about it, but do something about it. And that brings me to I think my second point that stops a lot of us, our community, our MPI community, is we lack a lot of motivation to go beyond the mark. And Brandon's nodding his head because he knows I don't have a lot of motivation, but I think we're content quite easily, and we lack self-motivation. We lack self-motivation, and if think about it, us MPI, we do things and you get rewarded for it, and that keeps us motivated for a long time. But what happens if you don't get rewarded for it straight away?
You lose motivation, bro.
Exactly.
And that's another point I like, because I feel like motivation is so important. I feel like what we lack, especially in our community, is the discipline.
Yep.
Because like we can be motivated, but you don't like a motivating factor can go only so far. Whereas if you're disciplined, that I feel like that changes character and lifestyle. Yep. Because if you're disciplined, you do things even though you know it's hard, and you keep doing it on a consistent basis. Yep. Even though you know you don't want to, but you still do it anyways.
100%.
Right? But some of us, because we're content sometimes, honestly believe like we're so comfortable in being like, I don't want to work out tomorrow. I'm gonna go to sleep. Like, even though it's good for your body, right? Even though we know we need to go maybe do some exercise or eat a bit more better, we get back into that mindset. It's okay. Like, maybe another day. You know what I mean?
Some discipline in there. Right?
Yeah, there's some discipline. Like, or it may be like, I want to go, be a good builder, but I don't want to go to trade school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's or I don't want to go find a job where I can be an apprentice and learn from it. Like, there's so many different things that we say we want to do, but we just don't have that discipline to, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
100% agree. And I think the cool thing about discipline is because you're moving, motivation comes to you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're sitting and waiting, motivation is only a distance away, but discipline helps us to move to. I don't want to wake up this morning, it's getting colder. But the moment I woke up and I started doing things, I was motivated to give it my all way. So I reckon discipline is essential. And I think another way of looking at it is, I'm bringing a lot of like business terms here, but there's this concept called sunk cost fallacy. And this concept basically is entrepreneurs put so much effort into developing a service or product that when it's developed, they're too scared to develop even more. Sunk cost fallacy. And I think a lot of us in our community, because we put so much effort into moving to New Zealand, because we put so much effort into just getting 1 degree or developing something that we've always wanted to develop, we're content with it and we're not self-motivated to push it that extra distance.
Yeah.
Do you feel like comes across? Do
you feel like it's because, I don't know, like what do you believe is the reason why we do that though?
Yep. And if we go back to we discussed it a bit before, my parents had a lot of adversity growing up, and because they had a lot of adversity, all they wanted in life was security. A secure job, a secure house, and a secure, just security, right? And the reason why they're content with that is because it provides security, but there's a lot more than security to life.
I like that. Especially where I live in New Zealand and everything that we have, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like it plays a huge part. And like, I don't know. I was looking at like, this may be a bit off topic, but I was actually skimming through like the census in 2018. Like that's, I know they're doing a new one right now, 2023. But I was just going over like all the, just like our Pacific Islander statistics, and
disappointing, eh? Disappointing. Capital T underlined appointing.
I honestly, anyone listening, I honestly challenge you guys to just go and look at the Pacific Islander influence in the stats online, and you'll see like a drastic of like how drastically different it is from the other Pacific or the other ethnic groups on there, and you just see it and you're just like, it's so different.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's maybe some of it has to do with what we've been talking about, but I feel like sometimes it can be just a reflection of, I mean, it is a reflection of what we're doing right now, but it's like, what can we do to improve, to progress? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to progress and be better.
100%. Right? And I feel like we have a false sense of humility in our community. Right? There's a lot of, I don't want to put my hand up because someone else is better than you. And it takes a lot of effort to step out of that security. But I think confidence is, how my dad defined confidence to me is, everyone is equal. I'm no better than you, you're no better than me. All on an equal platform. And because of that, I'm open to a lot more opportunities. Right? And humility on the other side, it's someone else is above me, I'm below them. And because we're in different playing fields, you don't have the same opportunities. And yes, the reality is we don't have the same opportunities sometimes, but if your mindset is on the same playing field, opportunities will come to you that, just be humble and be confident. You know, there's a nice little meeting.
And that's the thing that I think we struggle with, is to find that actual balance between being humble, because we are humble people.
Yep.
We're very respectful people, but that sometimes that can be our kryptonite in terms of getting things done and getting things that we want.
Massive barrier.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge barrier that if we can overcome, I believe there'll be a lot more opportunities for our people to be able to accomplish. You know what I mean?
And you know what the irony is? Our people were quite humble, but we're also quite prideful. Like, we're humble. We don't want to overstep. But if you come and tell me to change my ways, ain't no way.
You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah. And the problem with not accepting faults, I find, is you give away the opportunity to learn and develop. Because you're blaming someone else, you're giving them the opportunity to learn and develop. And maybe it's not your fault, but if you accept it as your fault, you're accepting the opportunity to learn. An opportunity to grow.
It's such a hard concept to swallow. Like the blame, the
we're quite
blame
stable
concept.
in our ways, eh?
Because, bro, if a lot of people can actually overcome that type of mindset, bro, honestly, there'll be a lot of changes within. Because for them to do that, it kind of hinders their growth in terms of not even education, but also like a progress or a growth mindset.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you kind of stagger yourself and kind of put yourself in that position category. I don't want to change.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And the biggest benefit with us, our community, is we're quite community oriented.
Yeah.
And it's not just a community that's alive. Our habits and our core values, it's generational.
Yeah.
Right? It's through our culture, it's through the traditions. And because we've had that ingrained in our DNA, it's hard to change, but we've got to be a strong link in that DNA. You got to be 100%. You got to change that DNA a little bit.
100%.
Discipline for the DNA.
Bro, honestly, a big thing before we move on to the next question, I honestly feel like if we become more in tune with our culture and our roots, right? I believe like
very different
when you understand that and to know where you come from, who you come from. The people that you come from, I honestly believe, because that has kind of played a big part, like in terms of it being lost, knowing who our people are and the history that we don't know much about. But when you do understand that connection with where you're from, your roots, where you come from, your country, or what the blood that runs in your veins, bro, like honestly, you come to understand that our people are such a great, creative, talented, hardworking, motivated, like
it's in our DNA.
Bro, it's in our DNA, bro.
It's in our DNA.
Like everything that we do it for the mind. Like for example, I think we were talking about it before with one other podcast, but just the fact that like just the way we're able to, obviously everyone knows navigating the stars, but being creative to build crafting and like the art design and stuff, like all of those other skills and those other the other attributes that our people have, bro, like those can be used now more than ever.
It's in our core.
You know?
It's in our core.
Like that, you see all of us, like we're making music.
Yep.
People are artists. People are dancing. Some of us are dancers. You know what I mean? And then we see them all across the globe or across the world. And so it's possible, right? It's
100%
just
possible.
It just takes a few of us to start that trend and inspire the next generation to do that. You know?
100%. Definitely agree.
Nice, bro. Bro, look at this Salvis dropping gems, guys.
021 down. This is the wrong number.
Which kind of contributes to our next question, bro. So, but this is more important, I guess, speaking about you. Has there ever been, because we like to focus on failures, right? It's the Theta podcast, and
accepting faults.
Exactly. Understanding those failures will help us to become better people. So has there ever been a failure in your life that you've been most grateful for?
Yep. Opening up the vulnerable points here. But I think my story's been pretty consistent so far. I hope my family moved over from Samoa. All we wanted was security. And if you can kind of picture with me the mindset I fostered as a young boy, it was quite conservative and it was quite limited. And Brandon's nodding his head because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. If all I wanted was a 9-to-5 job, that's my one income. All I wanted was just security, right? And the problem with that mindset, it's very limiting, right? And I remember coming home from my volunteer experience overseas, and I sat down, and every year I do like a yearly review of my past goals, and I noticed how stupid my perspective was. Right? And I think my biggest failure was fostering that mindset and wasting away 23 years of my life. And it's also been my biggest blessing, because now I've got it's a very different perspective to life. It's very similar to Brandon's now. Very similar. It's a lot more, what do I love to do? Right? I know myself. I know my value. It's no longer seeking security. I'm actually going and getting that abundance mindset. Right? I'm learning a lot more. Right? I know I've got a couple of degrees and I'll get a couple of more, but education for me is no longer just that. I've got some awesome people in my bag. People that's paid for my university and things. So I think my biggest failure was my mindset that I had for 23 years. But it's also been my biggest blessing, because now cool. I'm hitting the world with a whole different mindset.
That's so cool, bro. And that's all it takes, bro. It's like that one shift in the mindset. It can really lead you to numerous opportunities in the future.
Yep. And like, I remember I had this best friend in high school. His name was Jordan, and I didn't know much English. And so Jordan wasn't a good friend looking back now, because he would swear a lot. But I remember all I wanted was to be like Jordan. So I started swearing in year 11, and this girl that I had a crush on, she turned around and she'd go, "Stop trying to be like Jordan." Oh. Right? And that, looking back at that now, like, it's really taught me a lesson that we're put into different modes growing up. I remember I was in high school. Jordan was the funny one. He was the one that swore. That was his mode. I was the unfunny one. But I was a bit of a stupid person from Samoa. That was the mode I was put in. But until I went to university, no one knew me. Right? I was in a different environment where I could practice the parts of me that mode I was in before wouldn't allow me to practice. So I feel like that mindset that I fostered was because of the environment and the mode that others had put me in, and because they've put me in, I've put myself in it. But don't be scared to put yourself in environments that no one knows about you and no one has preconceived ideas, so you can practice the parts of you that you want to develop, right? And I went to uni, I was the only brown guy there, so what did Salvis develop? Ooh, some swear word. Develop parts of me that I couldn't develop in this mold I was put in. And that's the thing, put yourself in environments where you want to develop those parts, and there's no mold stopping you.
Bro, that's so true. It's so true where, like, the people who you surround yourself, that's who you become. Especially, and it goes in terms of education wise, and like, if you, like, obviously if you want to be the best person, the best accountant, you want to be surround yourselves with the people who are always speaking the talk, right? Yep. And being around or doing well in class. But and again, bro, like, if you want to develop those skills or the mold that you want to be, bro, that's so true. Go and mold yourself to the people or you yourself, the I guess the skills and the and also I guess your personality, like where you want to be. Yep. Because if you're passionate about those things, go be around those people who have the same passions. Mold yourself to what you want to accomplish, your dreams and for the future.
100%. You know, and going back to that support and challenge network, it's good to have a support network, but mold yourself with the people that challenge your perspective, to help you to see things that you've never seen before. You need to change that environment.
Need to, bro.
Yeah, you need to learn how to swear now.
You just need to be in a great growth mindset and a challenging mindset. You know, and that's the important part. And that all circles around people who you surround yourself with. That's so true, bro. Moving on to our next question, bro. What do you think is New Zealand's greatest strength and weakness?
Holy day. Well, inflation's a bit high now. Oh, wait, Jacinda. Nah, it's been good. It's been good. Just point out that New Zealand has always been the dream for my family. So it's an awesome place. So I think a good starting point would be the strengths. Let's just choose 3, because there's heaps.
I like that.
I think the first one, and especially relevant to our community, is there's a vibe right now to increase cultural competency in all the organizations. And what I mean by that is,
that's pretty cool.
5-6 years ago, it was about, we need more brown people. So hire the brown people because we need to make the organization brown. But now, organizations are seeing the value that Pacifica people bring, right? Natural leaders we are natural facilitators or natural mediators, right? We've got so much talent, and they're recognizing this, and so they're purposely increasing cultural competency in all organizations because of that. And I think that's the biggest advantage for our community right now.
Like that.
People want us, and they don't want us because of our skin. They want us.
I like that word, and that's so true. Like, they do want us now more than ever.
Like, I work at PwC, and when I first started, I kid you not, I could count the amount of brown people with my hands. And one of them was a partner, the other 7 were admins, and 3 of us were like associates, senior associates and managers, right? That was the ratio. But now when I go to work, we actually have a Pacific village.
That's so cool.
And there's about 60 people there. And yes, there's still admins, not downing on the admins or anything. But if you see the spread now, the expertise that we bring, they want us. We bring value to the table, and people are seeing it. That's one strength.
Like that.
I don't know. We need more brown people.
What about weakness?
Can I just talk about 2 more strengths? I don't want to talk back about my country here.
Not bad about the country, just I guess things that we could do better in, you know?
Oh, let's go strength, weakness.
Okay,
Right?
strength, weakness, and weakness.
Cool. I think weakness is, man. I think in New Zealand, people's advice is taken very quickly without research. I remember, have you heard the concept of HIPPO? HIPPO.
No.
Highest HI, paid person's opinion.
Oh,
And in any meeting, if you think about it, when the highest paid person talks, everyone listens, and everyone takes that advice as it is, right? To them, it's gospel, right? And this goes for anything. If you go to a community meeting, when the highest paid person talks, everyone's like, "Yep, that's the right answer." But to me, advice is advice, right? It's based on their experience, what they're going through, and you need to pick and choose. You need to be careful. And I think in New Zealand, we don't do that quite often. We take advice very literally, and we take it very quickly without doing our due diligence. And I don't know if you guys agree with me, but we need to improve that a little bit. We need to improve that. I think that's one weakness, especially for our community. Another strength that we actually have in New Zealand is people can actually do what they're passionate about. Like, let's say 5 years ago, only the elite could do things that they're passionate about. They can take their hobbies and convert it into stability, right? Going back to my best friend Jordan, and I hope he's not listening because this was in high school. Like, the guy liked to lift weights and stuff in high school, and I remember that was his passion at the time. But the time that he was trying to monetize it wasn't really, there was no vibe around it.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, it's the
Massive
perfect
vibe.
time. Look at Brandon, like,
Massive.
you're hopefully converting this hobby into stability.
Trying to.
Yep. And in New Zealand now, that's the vibe we're getting. We can actually do what we like, and you can actually align your passions with stability. We never could have done it before. Eh?
I like that. That's so true. I feel like was it the weakness that she brought up? That I think that I like that one a lot.
Is this
the advice?
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like not a lot of us do quick due diligence enough to actually really sort out, because like what you said is true. Advice is advice, and some of us don't really. We like to take the answer that comes first.
Yeah. And if you take it on a personal level, and I love my parents to bits, but the moment I realized advice was advice, I reflected on the advice my parents had given me, and oh my Lord, I was like, had I thought a little bit better, had my mindset changed, I could have consulted with mum and dad and compromised, right? And we have the tendency to just listen. What we hear is what we do, right? And we need to do some due diligence. I think another weakness in New Zealand is we mistaken simplicity for stupidity. Right? We're chasing quite a complex life because we think complexity is where success and happiness is.
I feel like sometimes on that, like, I like this point too, by the way. Sometimes complexity can seem great. Yep. But it can also be confusing.
Yep.
So when we live a complex lifestyle, we confuse ourselves and those around us, and that can, especially, it can confuse mainly what you're doing, but more importantly, what you believe in.
Yep.
And sometimes even believe in yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
One of the partners at work, I admire how much he explains these complex concepts. Like he just goes, "Oh, it's simple. It's blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's complex." Right? And that's the kind of lifestyle we chase because we think complexity is what we really want.
Yeah.
But I think if you understand something deep enough, it's simplicity, right? That's basically what it is. And I think New Zealand's a great place because we're not too far ahead and we're not too far below. Like it's quite a nice little place for us to experiment.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I like that. That's so true, bro. Moving on to our last question, bro. What does authentic mean to you?
Just the one that's going in the video away.
It's the one that goes on every video.
Authentic. Shucks, I actually didn't prepare an answer for this. But I think authenticity has a lot to do with your core values. Who you are as a person. Right? And I'm not talking about the what you present to other people. Take all of that down. What are your core values? What's literally driving you to do things or not do things? Right? And I think if you were to simplify authenticity around that, it's your core values and aligning that with what you do every day, what you say every day, what you listen to every day. It's personifying those core values. And if you've got core values that's not serving you, get rid of them. Get rid of them. But I think an authentic person to me is someone that lives their core values on their sleeves. I think a great example is Brandon.
Bro. Great example is you, bro. We're grateful for you, Salvis. Thanks for being here on the podcast.
Let's go.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Again, bro, we're grateful for the example you are in our community and what you do, and grateful for your insights. Hopefully, like those who are listening, really tune in and listen into the advice that Salvis was able to give us today. I honestly believe that like a lot of things that we talked about, guys, if you really vibe with it and take it to heart and really ponder on it, or even replay the episode again and again if you want to. Like everything that was mentioned in the podcast, it really does help us become the best versions of ourselves. And hopefully you seeing more people from your own community can help you transpire those ideas and those dreams for you yourself, so that you can be able to be the best you can be.
That's cool. Thank you for having me.
Bro, we're grateful for. Hopefully get you in for another episode sometime later on in the future.
Remember, advice is advice.
We can get Salvis in when he gets another 2 degrees, so. Bro,
thanks for having me.
All good, bro. Before we close up, anything you want to add on before we close the show?
Thanks for having me, and I think take to heart the advice is advice. Apply what's applicable, and I live by the theme of this entire podcast: be authentic, be yourself. They want you.
Thanks, bro. Guys, again, if you like the episode, let us know. Comment down below what you think. And as well, we have episodes drop every week. So tune in. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And we are also on Google Podcasts. So wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead, download it, and also on YouTube. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and follow our social media accounts, guys. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. So go ahead, follow the movement, and make sure you guys stay up to date. Stay tuned. Well, until then, we'll see you guys next time.